Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about why smart people fail in business. Why does it take so long for a smart person to start their own business, go into entrepreneurship, get something that takes off and, make the millions of dollars that seems like everyone else is making online? And I've really had the privilege of working with intelligent people with stellar resumes who have been climbing the corporate ladder in some of the world's biggest, most well-known companies, others who were founders before, but still find it hard to start a new business in advisory and consulting, in facilitation, and in coaching. So the roadblocks that we work through are almost always the same. And I'll share with you today what's blocking them and what might be blocking you if you're thinking about starting a side hustle, starting your own business. The first and most difficult thing people need to deal with is mindset. Is going from the employee mindset to the CEO mindset. Now, you don't have to be an employee, but there's always someone above you who is deciding where you're going, how you're being graded, what does success mean. So when you start your own company, it is very difficult because basically you decide your own rules. No one comes in and tells you this is what success means, this is how you're supposed to set it up, this is how it works with everything else in the company, because guess what? There is no everything else in the company. You are the company, and you may have a co-founder, you may have someone to work with, but the two of you then will have to decide, and you have to integrate, and you have to decide the direction together, how you're actually going to get there. Starting with a blank piece of paper is difficult, and so this requires the change in mindset of I am not here to take orders from other people, having other people telling me what to do, but I have the ability to decide, and it is my responsibility to decide intentionally how this business will move forward. This naturally leads to problem number 2, which is analysis paralysis. Smart people overanalyze. I'm sure you felt it too, where there is so much data out there. There's so much to learn out there. You can be on YouTube going down one rabbit hole for hours on end, and by the end of it, you don't know what to think about this topic, right? And in business, a lot of the time, if you have been working in a big organization, what happens is that there are people helping you gather the data. And then there might even be people helping you analyze the data. And based on that, you make decisions, educated decisions. But as Simon Sinek points out in his book, Start With Why, we actually cannot gather all of the data available to us in order to make the right decision, right? There could be one small but important piece of information that was not collected, and it throws off the whole educated guess that you had. But the idea here, when you start your own business, is not that you have to understand everything about this world before you take action. It is a constantly evolving thing. So analysis paralysis stops you from taking any action. And what you need to learn instead is understand that you don't have perfect knowledge. You don't have the perfect data to help you make decisions. Anyone who's built a business will tell you, you have to take action. You have to take risks. You have to make mistakes. That's really a part of the process that a lot of people can't accept, right? Because you're smart, you're used to getting straight A's, you're used to being the overachiever, you're used to giving stellar performance. So failure is difficult. And that is another thing that's really hard for people to get over. This leads to problem number 3, which is that you cannot focus and stick to one thing. Smart people have a lot of ideas, a lot of great ideas. So it's hard to let go of any of them, right? You want to do any of them because you see the potential and you've done all that research and you think, oh, what, this could really take off and this could really take off. I don't want to miss anything, which ends up giving you analysis paralysis of, okay, I'm not actually taking action. And when you do choose one, the problem is that you can't stick to it, because the second it's not really working, the second that, it's been a month and I don't have any customers, you think, oh crap, this is not the right one. Actually, my other idea was a lot better. So you end up not being able to focus and having the patience to actually build a business, because guess what? It's not like what you do in a company where everything is set up. You have all of the supporting roles, you have all of the different teams, you have a hierarchy and all the infrastructure around it so that people could do their work. It's very different when you start your own company. There's none of that. You are the company. If you're a solopreneur and if you have a co-founder, the two of you are the company, right? There is no, I'm gonna wait for, I have a team to resolve this problem. No, you are going to have to resolve it. There are so many excuses of, it's not working because, I don't have an engineer who knows how to do this, and I don't have the engineer because I don't have the money to pay them, and I don't have the money to pay them because I don't have clients, and I don't have clients because, I don't have that engineer to build the thing that's gonna get me clients. So then you say, okay, this is not for me because I don't have all of the skills necessary to bring this to life. So I actually need to shift my idea. I mean, there are definitely times when you should make sure that you're using your skills in the best way possible. But at the same time, you're going to have to realize that at the beginning, you're not going to have everything. So what are you going to do about it? So how do you get over that beginning stage where you don't have everything? You don't have all the resources. You don't have all the skills to do, admin to tech to strategy to everything else. What do? You don't say, okay, I'm going to change to a different idea immediately, because with every single idea, there are going to be things that you can't do as one person or maybe two people if you have a co-founder. And we can look to sports coaching for this, that when you start coaching a team that doesn't have everything, let's take a concrete example of Dawn Stanley. She's a women's basketball coach. She was the head coach for the USA national team. When she first started coaching a varsity team, it wasn't a star team. They didn't have star players. They weren't getting championships. They didn't have many people that come out and watch their games. So what did she do? She didn't say, well, this team is not going to succeed. I can't recruit any star players, so I'm going to move to another team. No, after the game, each single game finished, she went out there and she shook hands with all of the fans, building that relationship. She knew that her players would perform better if they were being watched, if there was an audience. So she built that audience, one handshake at a time. And over time, the fans bought into the game. And she was able to coach the players. So together, they made the team into a championship team. It's the same in business, right? At the beginning, you don't have everything. You don't have, all of the resources you want. You probably don't even have a team. You don't have all of the resources, all of the money that's out there. But that's okay. With what you have, you can do things, right? You can slowly build. This is the misconception that people think, oh, you must scale. Everything you do must scale. No, you have to figure out the business first, build the foundations first, know you're actually doing the right thing before you can scale. There is a process. Like, people don't talk about the beginnings because it's not so glamorous, right? They talk about, we launched this and all of a sudden it took off. But they don't tell you that's version 500. It wasn't version 1 that, oh my God, all of a sudden thousands of people signed up and it just boomed and continued boom from there. No, that you just didn't hear the very beginning of the story, the really boring one where from day 1, day 2, day 3, and all you do is trying to figure everything out. So do not just move on the second it doesn't work. It takes time to build. This is not the scaling stage. And that's really important to know for smart people, because sometimes they can't accept, well, I don't see success. This must be a failure, and I don't want to face failure. So I'm just going to say it wasn't the right idea, and I'm going to move on. Because when you move on to the next one, you'll probably face similar challenges. And then it stops you. And then you go back to analysis paralysis. What's going wrong? Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. You can find a million excuses. Now, the root cause of all this leads me to problem number 4, is that you actually don't believe you can do this. I know it's a bit controversial. Everyone says, I know I'm supposed to do this. I know I'm supposed to succeed in life and do something big and change lives, change the world. Yes, you do know that. And that, I'm not saying that's not true, but you are a complex being. And while you believe in that, every time you run into adversity, how do you respond? Do you respond with, okay, that's interesting. Let me think of a way to work through this. Or you think, okay, maybe I'm not meant to do this. Maybe, people are just telling me I'm smart, but I'm actually not smart. Because it's normal. I just want to say this again and again. We're not taught this in school. We're not taught this in the workplace. But failure, things not going smoothly is really normal in life, right? Like we actually, as kids, that's how we learn to walk, to talk, to eat, to, whatever, right? That's how we did it, was through falling and then getting back up. And then finally we don't fall anymore. This construct we've made of, if you don't succeed the first try, it means, you're not that smart. That's not true. That's really not true. There is a fantastic quote by Alvin Toffler, a philosopher, on the illiterate of the 21st century. It's not someone who cannot read or write. It's someone who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. And this is so crucial. This idea of you learn, but you also need to unlearn. Because as you go forward, you'll realize that some of these things actually don't serve you anymore. Some of these ways of thinking has helped you move through the system, but as you go into a new system, you might need to unlearn some of that, let's say, employee mindset and relearn the CEO mindset. And so you can construct something that helps you go towards that success that you're looking for, go through that impact that you're trying to make. It's normal. It's normal to learn, unlearn, and relearn. And that's how we're going to move forward. That's how we're going to grow. Growth is not linear as we see it, that, the more books I read, I'll just become smarter. You do need to do that reflection of, how do I piece all of that together? So ask yourself and make sure that you do believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, no one will, right? If you think you can't do it, then you can't do it. If you think you can do it, then you can do it. So make sure you're not subconsciously taking actions that actually means that you are not ready to take action. You're not ready to address the difficulties that will come up. The next challenge is being too logical. This is probably one of the things that our systematic education and workplace indoctrinates in us, is that you're smart if you are analytical, if you think logically and clearly. But when you start your own business, knowing that you have all these things, very frequently people just out of nowhere say, I'm not creative, I'm not emotional, I don't worry about those things. That's supposed to feed into this, that's why I'm a very analytical, smart, strategic person. But when you start a business, it's a creative process. You're literally creating your business from nothing, right? Every single step, every single person you hire, every single content piece you write, whatever it is, you have to create them. They don't exist. It is a creative process. So by definition, you have to solve creative problems. I don't mean, you have to draw beautiful drawings or whatever. That's not what creativity means, even though it takes on that nuance today. But creativity, it comes from just creating. So if you say you're not a creative person, your mindset goes into starting your business with, okay, this is creative stuff, I don't know how to do it. Then you go back to, you can't solve this problem, right? Because everything is new. So that's one thing. The other thing is about emotions. And a lot of people try to think that, okay, it's all numbers, that, if I do X, Y, Z, there will be X percent of people who will come and buy this. And that really misses out a big component of how people actually think, right? If you know behavioral economics, you know that it's different from traditional economics, because it actually takes in the irrationality and irrationality of people, right? We make a lot of choices based on cognitive biases that are wrong. So I talk about this in my other videos, but the key thing that I want to get across here is that people, real human beings who are going to buy whatever it is that you want your business to sell, they are emotional creatures. So you need to be able to recognize that first, emotions are important, and two, being able to address that and make that connection Because people have so many choices today, right? If they don't want that emotional connection, they'd be on Amazon buying the cheapest available item. But most likely you are not making something cheap, something that's a commodity, right? You are selling your knowledge as a consultant, as a coach, as an advisory person, as a facilitator. The way that you connect with your clients, with your prospects, are going to be emotional, it's important to have emotions. So this idea of being too logical actually impedes you from reaching the people you want to reach. And the last challenge is worrying alone. It is so paralyzing, especially for smart people who feel like, yeah, people don't understand what I'm saying. People don't know, they don't get it. It doesn't matter what I say, they don't get it. That's normal, but that's also something you don't want to fall into, right? If you're the smartest person in the room, maybe it's time to find a different room. Maybe it's time to talk to someone who can help you sort through what's going on in your head. When you speak to someone and they don't understand, there's two sides to it, right? There's the person that's listening to you. Are they the right people to receive openly what you're saying? And the other side is, how do you communicate it, right? Because again, coming back to being too logical, if you're just throwing the facts and the figures and the numbers, it might work in your boardroom. Like, that's what people want. But in real life, people tune out when you're just throwing boring facts at them, right? They want to know, why is that important for me? Like, what does that do? And you have to connect not only on the logical level, but also on the emotional level. And I talked about this in a video about logos, ethos, pathos, right? How do you use all these elements in order to be more persuasive and for people to want to listen? So all of this put together is that at the end, don't worry alone. Find someone to work through these ideas with you so that you can take the actions forward. All of these are connected. All of these are about smart people have so many of the skills, so many of the resources, but what's holding them back at the end of the day is not taking action one step at a time, not taking it continuously and pushing forward. It's so easy to find excuses everywhere to say, oh, it's not going to work. Well, yeah, if you say it's not going to work, it's not going to work, right? So you have to be the one that decides that it's going to work. If you found this helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Share with other smart people in your world about, why are they so frustrated? Why are you not succeeding? You should be, and you will. And you go through these, work through them, leave a comment below. Let me know what aspects have you been struggling with, and I'll see you in the next video.